Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. I'm Preacher Moss, host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. Hope everybody is having an excellent Thursday. I know it's normally Throwback Thursday, but you know what? It's Ramadan, so I kind of moved Throwback Thursday off a little bit. I figured I'd have something that was more in line with the Ramadan themes that we're trying to do. Let me give a big shout out to our sponsors, Be Financially Independent, BeFinanciallyIndependent.com, and of course, Bayan Islamic Graduate School sponsors for the Preacher Moss Ramadan 3430. Appreciate you. Top of the circle, we want to give a shout out to a couple people. One is one of our faithful members who comes on the show all the time, Sister Ree. She lost her grandmother, Miss Gaines, Grandma Gaines, and we want to give her a shout. We know her and her family left, and they just arrived safely, alhamdulillah, to Michigan. So they got up there to be with family and coalesce around the loss of of course, this matriarch of the family, and we appreciate that. Also, want to give a shout out to my friend Sheldon, my West Indian brother. Hey man, I feel for you. Sheldon lost his sister, so we're gonna make keep her in our prayers, keep her in our prayers as well. And I think the other thing, we have another sister, Sister Amanda Santiago. She was dealing with her aunt in Tennessee. We hope that situation is balancing out, and it was interesting because as I began to come up with the topic, sometimes when you do topics, man, and you get into 300s, you can run out of ideas, and just as soon as you say you can run out of ideas come to you, man. And it was the idea that we're heading into almost a year in a very short amount of time. We're going to head into a year from the last Ramadan. Not the lunar calendar, but I'm talking about a general year. And the question is almost like, what do you learn? We have vaccinations, we have things like that. But what did we really learn from COVID last year? And we're dealing with another COVID situation. What do we hope to learn? One of the nuances that hopefully that can make our community a lot better. Before we get into that, I hope I'm not rude. Let me welcome people to the show. If you're coming to the Shout Out Show for the first time, we appreciate you. Do us a favor, hit the subscription button, the notification button, the like button, whatever button you want to hit. Listen, we appreciate you stopping through on the show. That's number one. Number two is, you know what? Don't be a wallflower. Get in here, mix it up with us. You know what I'm saying? Let us know who you are, what you're about, and we'll do the same to you. This is the Shout Out Show. While I am the host, I am not the master of the platform. The platform is made by the people who come on the show. That means you. All right. That's number one. Now, I got through that. Let me give a shout out to also uh, Sister Kitchen, the wife of my big brother, Reginald Kitchen, that passed away. We'll give you a shout out during Ramadan too. And my cousin Umar, I want to give you a shout out as well. Also, shout out for Mama Moss, a shout out for Miss Maxine BK, and a shout out for Sister Eleanor. Got to get these, got to get a shout out. Also, my Aunt Shirley and my Aunt Florence and my Aunt Dottie. I'm giving all the ladies shout outs today. All uncles. Well, I ain't got any more uncles, so that's why I had to do all aunts. Okay, let me give some stars in the building, some looks in the building. Who we got in the section today? My mom. I love my mom. My mom has the worst luck with computers, but she works it out. You have to give it to her. It's something about our senior citizens that we laugh sometimes, but they really work to make that technology work for them. They don't have to. They could be set in their ways, and I'm talking about your mom, but you know what? They're willing to struggle, and there's something about having that ethic later in life. I just love it. I really appreciate it. All right, Mom, thank you for getting that computer working. You're watching us live, and tell Miss Eleanor we gave her a shout out. I know Ree made it to Michigan safely. I just mentioned that. All right, who we got next? Sister Rabina Chowdhury, all the way from the UK. Sister Rabina, how are you? How's your Ramadan going? We appreciate you coming on the show. We know it's not early over there. It's late, but you make time for the Shout Out Show and the Shout Out Show family, so we appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. I have to send something to you. I'm going to send you a link for the Muhammad Ali documentary podcast, which is called The Universal Title. I want you to check it out and let us know how you feel. We have Sister Aika, all the way from Jakarta, Indonesia, but she lives in Depok. She's checking in on the show. We appreciate you. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan Mubarak to you. Thank you so much. Who we got next? We got the ambassador, the Canadian ambassador to the Shout Out Show. You know, Altaf, you the only ambassador that actually is an ambassador to a live stream show. I just want you to know, let that sink in a little bit, brother. We appreciate you, man. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much. May Allah grant peace, tranquility, and patience to all. I couldn't have said it better myself, so I'm glad you said it. Thank you so much, Altaf, our Canadian ambassador from Canada. I'd say Canadian ambassador. I'm being redundant. See, that's what happens when you start getting to your fast. You will do that. Start doing things like misplacing your keys. Like where I put my keys at. And it's like you don't have a car. Things like that happen, but it's all right. It's part of the Ramadan process. Thanks so much, Altaf. Who we got next? My brother, Johnny L. Thomas, JT. Man, thanks so much for coming on the show, Jay. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The word is, how are you doing on day 3 of your fast? Now, brothers and sisters, I make this note. My brother's doing my fast, the Ramadan with me for the first 14 days. He's not Muslim, which makes it even more special. He's just, man, I'm trying to get into a space where I can get closer to my creator. And he's like, I'm going to do it. And I encourage him, man. I thank you so much, brother. You know, when you talk about, you've been talking about people who've been with you on a long ride and when you became Muslim, he's got easy 30 years in the game with me for being Muslim. So thank you so much, beloved. We appreciate you. Uh-oh. We got Sister Reed checking in from Michigan. We got Derek checking in from Michigan. We got Jawad checking in. They left here yesterday. They left Houston yesterday, right before the show, and they showed up in the morning in Michigan. Y'all was some driving folks. Y'all like truck drivers. I like it like that. I don't like people got to go to the bathroom every 11 hours. I got to hold that thing. I'm trying to get someplace. I'm glad you guys made it safely, and please give my condolences to your family. All right. Thank you so much, Sister Ree, Brother Derek, and Brother Joa. Can't make the show happen without a consultant producer. Sultana Whitfield making things happen behind the desk, and she's just whipping through the controls now. She used to be a rookie, now she's not. She makes things happen, and I appreciate it because it allows me to do what I do best, which is try and bring you guys some entertainment, a little information. Let's get to it. Today's topic, bam, another COVID Ramadan. What did you learn? Now, let me break this question down. There's COVID, there's Ramadan. Learn implies education. So it's COVID, there's Ramadan. Learn implies education. Now, I'm going to back up a little bit. The picture's going to get a little wavy and stuff. And the reason it's going to get a little wavy because last year when we had COVID, there was a weird sense of energy that went about. The urgency was tied into a lot of things. We had a lot of things that happened, not so much due to COVID, but we had a lot of course, social upheaval. You know, so my Ramadan was really wrapped around COVID in one regard, and then it's wrapped around social upheaval at the same time, whereby your prayer tied directly into your social awareness, your social consciousness. You know, another COVID Ramadan this year is maybe not as intense. You know, last year was different because you couldn't go to the masjid. Let me say it again. Last year was different because you couldn't go to the masjid. At least our masjids, they called and got everything done. And they talked to the doctors. They talked to the physicians. Our masjids were closed. We couldn't do anything. Now, it created a whole new ecosystem in terms of prayer, in terms of devotional prayer, in terms of community with the Muslim community. We really had to redirect and reframe exactly how we did certain things. And we complied with a lot of health standards and things like that. And we still lost people in our community. Don't get it twisted. You know, COVID affected everybody. But what I thought, man, in some regards, it caused a realignment that we're still going through. It caused a realignment whereby, you know, some of our rituals, as Satana was saying this earlier, some of our rituals were shaken. Some of our ritual or our core values in terms of how we do practice was shaken. And, you know, a lot of people thought it would be over in a year. I think I said live shows for like comedy and things like that really wouldn't be back until fall 2021. I'm gonna be honest, it's looking more like 2022. Some shows are happening, but I digress. I don't want to talk about that. One of the things that happened with COVID is that we had a paradigm shift in terms of how our community shared information, how we did community. Um, Different innovations. Like sometimes, like when I have time, um, I go on Clubhouse. Clubhouse is sort of like it's like an old school party line like they used to do. Yeah, call 1-800 and people get on the party line and talk. Well, with technology and Apple being the devils they are, they set up these things where people can have their own. They can have their own discussions. They can have their own conversations about what they're doing, and it's cool. It's all right. But I think the thing that is missing is you have a lot of things that have fallen. But one of the things that's interesting is not as many marriages. Not as many marriages. COVID has created a situation where people are not getting married as much. And there is, let me say this, because I'm speaking for a couple of my nieces, there's a deficit of people trying to find people to get married. Good people trying to find good people to get married. That's what they say. And people are a lot more picky too. Like my nieces are like, you gotta have a college education, da 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 da. You gotta be born here. And you know what? It normally would not be an issue, but with COVID, man, COVID has issued in this whole eccentric line of just specificity. Just specificity. We are not as flexible as we used to be. When you think about it, man, a virtual cook bar has become it has literally become the stamp on how we stay in touch with one another. Our Fridays are tied together with bandwidth, for lack of a better word. Things like I use, like StreamYard and Zoom and things. It's interesting because we've had to acclimate ourselves to make sure that our community is held together. And one of the things I want to say about the COVID Ramadan is that last year's Ramadan was tied into a lot of stuff. Well, we really did a lot of soul searching. We did a lot of soul searching. Like we really didn't know. And the thing we had to come to grips with when we got together and we talked on phones and Zoom calls is for all this chatter, we didn't know where it was going. There was no vaccine. We didn't know about, how much with mask and distancing and things like that. We're really in a dark period. And I'm not saying a dark period in just terms of spirituality. I'm talking about a dark period in terms of just information. How do we protect ourselves? And I would like to say that the Muslim community really did band together and make the best decisions for their community in terms of, listen, we're going to follow the CDC. We're going to follow these doctors. We didn't put our people in harm's way, which was a beautiful thing. Like we didn't put our people in harm's way. You got to show some love for that, but it was still Ramadan. It was still Ramadan. Your Taraweeh prayers had to just be prayed at home and things like that. And, as we get into this year's Ramadan, 3 days in, I started looking around going, what are the nuances? What did you learn? And I think that's the question I have to ask everybody. What did you learn? And I'm going to open it up because it's easy to say, hey, Muslims, what did you learn? My mother and my father have seen me do Ramadan for years. JT has seen me do Ramadan for years. And they know about going to the masjid. They know about, fasting and things like that. But, it was things like Eid, the idea of preparing for a celebration where you couldn't be around other people. And I think it promotes the idea of why spirituality is so important because it's the thread that holds community together. We can say what we want about, having to meet on computers and da da da, but there's a reason. And I believe we should be thankful that these things were allowed to happen. Hey, we went through a whole period. There was no Hajj. Like there was no Hajj. Now here's the deal. It's not the first time it wasn't a Hajj. Do your history. Do your homework. But in terms of our place in time, in terms of our technological advancements, what I found, what I learned about COVID and Ramadan last year is Ramadan is going to happen either way. Ramadan is literally going to happen either way. And it's a beautiful thing, because sometimes we forget about the simplicity about why we fast, we forget the simplicity about and the different factions of the month that we're supposed to be paying attention to. And it was a beautiful thing because you know what? It minimalized things. I can't say it for everybody, but last year's COVID Ramadan, if you will, it minimalized things for me. It made me look at things that were very, very important. It began to put value on those things. I didn't have time, like many of us, I didn't have time to run out these large hypotheses. I didn't have time to philosophize, if you will, or in some cases, signify. The evidence was there, and it was, I think last year was interesting because a lot of us, a lot of people, a lot of religious people got a lot closer to God. Let's just say that. A lot of people got a lot closer to God during COVID last year because we didn't know. It did seem like some days like the sky was falling. You remember watching CNN and CNN would have the death count? Remember that? You know how strange that was? It was like you didn't want your kids to watch TV or watch the news because they had a ticker like over your shoulder that would CNN had a ticker over the shoulder that would tell you how many people got infected and how many people died. And I was like, this is madness. This is absolute madness. It was a scorecard. And as we begin to come out, I don't want to say we're coming out of a pandemic because we got vaccinations. Anything can happen. We have variants running around. But I think people have normalized to the point whereby they realize this thing is there. It's sort of like when I would take flights back in the 90s, and no knock, I would see my Asian brothers and sisters come off planes with masks on. And I was like, what's the mask about? What is the mask about? And, it was not understanding that some of them in these industrialized towns in China, they came from places that were heavily polluted. Like they needed a mask for their survival. They could not be ingesting that stuff. And a lot of them have acclimated to the fact that most of the places they're going to go to, the air is unhealthy and they need this protection. Ramadan for me has always been a reset. And I can't say it's a reset for everybody. I say it's a reset in reality. I spoke just a little bit earlier about the aspect of it minimalizing things. It minimalizes things, but it makes it extremely accessible for the things that you're trying to do. I mean, I don't know, I normally talk like this, but it makes it extremely accessible. I believe that Ramadan saved, in some regards, saved and framed my scope of creativity for the things I was able to do after Ramadan, the thing I was able to do during Ramadan. In fact, most of you who know me know, hey man, us artists went through a hell of a time, a hell of a time. Normally when something drops out for us, a gig or something, we can look somewhere else in the business and find something, another gig, or we can double up on something. But this was the first time, and I'll say this for myself, this was the first time that everything shut down. So the places you would normally go to, they were closed and they were shut down too. Everybody was shut down the same way, the same place, the same time, for the same reason. And that rarely ever happens. And the one thing that did stand out, which was funny because I heard a brother ask this last year. He's like, "Yo, man, you think they're gonna cancel Ramadan?" And I fell out laughing because it was the funniest thing had ever heard. It was like, "What?" He goes, "You think they're gonna cancel Ramadan?" I'm like, "Who is gonna cancel Ramadan? Who is going to cancel Ramadan?" I'm like, "Nobody." I'm like, again, that minimalist thing. I mean, after I laughed, I was like, "This brother is actually being serious." But it does give you a space, and it does align us a lot better with the fact that what that spirituality that we're trying to find, we're trying to get as a community. But in the end, that's going to be a conversation or a cup of coffee you're going to have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have a cup of coffee you're going to have with God, and whoever it is you believe is that higher power. That's who you're going to be dealing with. And I think now as we begin to come out of Ramadan, excuse me, not out of Ramadan, but we began to see the loosening up, if you will, of COVID due to the fact that, we have vaccines and we have active participation, active data about what COVID is. We're seeing it go away. And I'm not sure if it's a good thing. I mean, of course, I want COVID to go away, but I don't like the fact that we've gotten a little lax. We've gotten a little lax. I've been in a couple massages and masks weren't on, and we're gonna get some more people in. And I understand the scope of masjid culture because not having people come into the masjid for quite a number of months is difficult because it affects bottom line. You hear what I'm saying? It really affects bottom line. The masjids require sadaqah, they require zakat to stay open. They shouldn't be going through that though. Literally, as important as they are, they shouldn't be going there. They should be a priority for the Muslim community, and we should make that a priority in terms of our spiritual infrastructure. That the masjids are sustainable. I've said this before. Taking care of our imams. I'm not saying take pay for their car and da da da. I'm like, no, just a stipend, you know, to recognize in some regards that they do make these sacrifices, and they're huge sacrifices. The brothers that make sure the masjid is open, we overlook them. We overlook them. We don't understand the fact that that brother that's there for Fajr and that brother is there for Isha. They made a commitment that maybe sometimes we don't understand, that place be open so that you can exercise your faith. So you start thinking about that, and I'm going to tell you something I learned about Ramadan. I relearned the importance of family. Let me explain. When I say I relearned the importance of family, for one of the few times in my life as an adult, it's like you really had to reach out to people. Not so much to reach out to get help, or financial assistance, that happens too, but to have a real conversation about what was going on and how it could affect you. I talk about Ramadan, and yeah, we talk about fasting and things like that, but that scope of minimalizing things is a beautiful thing, and it allowed me to have greater communication with my loved ones, with my mother, with my father, my aunt, being able to say, "Hey, listen, these are the things that we're facing," and not being afraid of being to have an adult conversation. A lot of times, sometimes us children, we dread having the real adult conversation with our parents. Our parents are still here and things like that. Everybody's situation is different. But for lack of some very, very creative words, it was empowering. What I've learned from COVID last year up to now, if you will, is that, what, it's very empowering what I went through last year. And this year doesn't seem as much. There's no George Floyd. There's a Dante Wright, but there's no George Floyd this year. It's fun to watch. Not fun, but it's relaxing to watch CNN and not see a death ticker every day. It was sensationalized. And one thing that I will say about Ramadan, and I'm gonna take some comments. The one thing I would say about Ramadan last year, for everything that happened, the devotional, trying to make the devotional prayer, fast, all of that, Ramadan gave me a different kind of hope, a different type of scalable hope. And I hadn't counted on that. I've done Ramadan for many years, and of course, you get the spiritual wellness, but I'm talking about this spiritual, um, scalable hope, because I wasn't 100% sure how the world was going to look after Ramadan. And, I literally, yeah, a lot of us literally thought that Donald Trump would get another 4 years to continue doing this stuff. And that was my thing. I was like, he gets another 4 years. I can't tell you what COVID is going to look like because this guy isn't serious. But you start changing your focus. I'm like, he can't change your situation. In Ramadan, we're supposed to be giving thanks and gratitude and sacrifice. There's a song I brought up a little while ago by Kurt Franklin called Love Theory. And one line in that thing, he says, it says, God saves the day. And I thought about that, and I'd say, God doesn't save the day. He doesn't. Here's the reason why God doesn't save the day, because God created the day. Do you understand what I'm saying? God created the day. And so when I think about this COVID and Ramadan and what did you learn? I learned that when it comes to my creator, I don't really know a lot. I appreciate a lot, but I don't know a lot. I want to know more. And so this Ramadan, if you will, let's focus on learning more about our creator. Don't think of him as a superhero, because we don't know what super is and we don't know what hero is. He's not there to save the day. He's there every day. And if we can get to that point, I think spiritually this Ramadan, with no George Floyd, no social upheaval, none of that. If we can take that whole minimalist thing that I was talking about, that scalable hope, and tie it into something, and the hope is that we become better believers, that we become better servants to this creation, to one another. I think that's the thing that begins to change, and that's what I'm hoping for. We got some comments. All righty. Nobody should be losing their memory while fasting is addictive. Hydration. I should tag you on my rehydration recipe, inshallah. Thank you, Sister Rabina. I do forget. I've learned that COVID-19 status will go until 2023 when the emergency vaccine trials will end. Okay. All right. What else we got, Sultana? Mask could not protect from viruses. You're killing me, Sister Rabina. You're killing me. No, actually, I'm messing with you. I would say that people are getting better, but I also, I also say, hey, listen, don't get loose out there. Don't stop wearing your mask wherever you go. Wear your mask, wear your double mask until we get, information, because we're not going to be able to just stay in our house, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Things are going to start opening up, and society is going to take chances. So, whatever that information, Sister Rabina, we're going to have to pull some of that information that you have and bring it on the show and talk about it a little bit more. But for this idea of another COVID Ramadan, I just spoke briefly about some of the things I learned, and I just want to share them. And anybody's open to share their interpretation, their thoughts. It's okay, you know. And this is not a thing where it's Ramadan. I'm talking about one aspect. You can have people that talked about uh Hanukkah. You have people talk about Purim. You have people talk about Easter. It could have been all these holidays. I just brought up my particular one. So everybody has their own idea in terms of what they were dealing with COVID, Christmas, Thanksgiving. I mean, we had all kinds of stuff, man. I mean, this pandemic changed a lot of what we do, a lot of what we do, and a lot of what we don't do. All right, let me give you some shout outs real quickly to our sponsors. I'll give a shout out to BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Again, that's BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. We appreciate you. Take care of us and make sure when we come to you at BeFinanciallyIndependent.com, make sure you give us some good, sound financial advice. I tell people, it's not so much not so much the money you earn, it's the money you keep. And I believe that BeFinanciallyIndependent.com is the place where you can find out about how you educate yourselves on money. Financial literacy is the way forward. If you don't want to go to the website, call 1-800-679-3175. Again, that's 1-800-679-3175, and you get a chance to talk to Miss Maxine BK Esquire, who is, I want to say, definitely invested in making you a better consumer, not a better consumer, but a much more person that's financially literate. Okay. Want to give a shout out to Bay Ann. Let me have my Bay Ann commercial. Let me run the Bay Ann thing. We'll be right back. Bay Ann has this to say. Yo, assalamu alaikum. I'm Preacher Moss, comedian extraordinaire, but I like to add a new title to my name. I'm Professor Preacher Moss. You know why? Because I just graduated. Wait a minute. Let me get this out of here. This is it. Okay. I'm Professor Preacher Moss, and it's come through the courtesy and the blessing of the Muhammad Ali Scholarship, which came through Bayan Islamic Graduate School. Now, listen, I know a lot of you people are thinking, can I do it? Yes, you can do it. This is the part where I know I'm supposed to say it's easy. It's not easy. Listen, it was easy to get this degree. Trump would be a mufti. I digress. Listen, though. For you brothers and sisters that are interested, go to bayononline.org and you could be like me. Put yourself in the picture for Islamic education. Wait a minute, there's the picture right there. Sound like them, everybody. Take care. Preach them off. All right. Got to get all of our sponsors in. And we have, we're working on a new ad for Be Financially Independent. I'm very excited. So listen, that's our show today. Fridays, I know it's Ramadan, but I think I'm going to go over the Friday Funnies, even if it's Friday Funny Ramadan edition. We're going to have to get it in. You know why? Because life does not stop because you're fasting. You know, I used to hear weird stuff. This shit was funny. I'm going to a session on Ramadan preparation. I'm like, what are you preparing for? You ain't gonna eat, you ain't gonna drink, you ain't gonna do some things. So it's like you need a class for that. Oh, look at it. Turkey got loose. Now look at this. All right. Omar Resenji, everybody. I thought you would like that, Sister Rabina. Trump will be a mufti. I thought you would like that one. My mother says, what I learned during Ramadan, as all year, Muslims reached out to non-Muslims. Wow, okay. Yeah, you didn't have to stop. You couldn't stop the hustle. I remember. You're right, Mom. Had to get out there and serve. You know, that's the thing about COVID. COVID was like, whatever it is, doesn't matter. You're going to serve. Good friend of mine, Imam Qasim Khan, Houston, 5th Ward. He served the people and to the point he actually caught COVID. Serving meals, giving out clothes, baby powder, baby food, baby formula, everything. That tireless soldier, you know, in his 70s and got COVID, but he was like, I have to serve the people. Much respect to you, Imam Qasim. All right, so listen, I'm gonna get out of here. I hope you guys have a blessed show. Hey, Omar Bazinji, everybody joins us from Istanbul over in Turkey. We appreciate it. Other than that, man, I think that's it. Friday Funnies is coming up, and we're going to do that tomorrow. So everybody have a wonderful day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hey, everybody, this is your brother, Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your shout-out show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next shout-out show. A simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from Tarif Attar. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out tarifattar.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.